Hello, BookTube. I want to make a quick video here to, as the kids say, signal boost, something that you may not be aware of. If you haven't seen the video by fellow booktuber and my friend, Shawn D. Standfast, he has put out a call for help to this little community on BookTube. And this little community on BookTube can do miracles when it receives a call for help. I've seen that happen. We've all seen that happen. And it's been amazing. And I'm hoping that that I have a little bit broader reach than he does. I'm hoping that this will just increase the chances of that happening, because boy, oh boy, do we have a brother in need. Those of you who aren't familiar with the whole of the story, a few years ago, Shawn had a cardiac incident, serious cardiac incident that landed him in an ambulance and in the hospital. And when he was in the hospital recovering from that and trying to figure out what does this mean, he contracted COVID. Hospitals for a time there were the number one place you could go, aside from fundamentalist tent rallies, to catch COVID. And I mean, Shawn he's not a spring chicken, and he had a cardiac incident. He was in a perfect position, numbers-wise, to die of COVID, but he didn't. It didn't kill him. He survived, but he became one of this large percentage. What do the recent numbers show? 10% of the people who get COVID also get long COVID, something called long COVID, which science doesn't understand. COVID-19 was new in the human population, and long COVID is certainly new. Science is still scrambling to figure out what this is, how it works, is there any treatment protocol for it? But it's not the same thing as having COVID. Those of you who've gone through it will know. COVID it knocks you flat, but it feels like an asymptotic curve. It feels like there's a beginning, there's a middle, and if I'm strong enough, there'll be an end, and I'll get through it. Long COVID isn't like that. It's a chronic condition that often saps your energy to the point where Shawn has mentioned many times there are days when he can barely walk. And also, more crucially for us book people, the brain fog of long COVID is well known. It is one of the most commented on long-term symptoms of long COVID, is that some days you'll be fine, but other days, nothing at all. Like chemo brain. The few people who've had chemo and also had long COVID say it feels exactly the same. And if you put all those things together, cardiac incident, no likelihood, no guarantee there won't be another one. COVID, long COVID. You reach a conclusion that Shawn doesn't want to beat you over the head with, but it's nevertheless true, which is that the normal workforce might not be possible. How many thousands of people out there have come forward with their stories about how with long COVID, they really can't work. Maybe they can make an accommodation somehow or other, but not anything like they used to be able to do. It changes you. It's a chronic condition that changes you, which means, obviously, that Shawn doesn't have a paycheck coming in. And he lives in the UK, and the UK has a fairly good social safety net system. But to give them their due, I realize there's going to be as many piratical plutocrats in their social safety net as there are in the American version. But to give those nets their due, they too are scrambling, trying to figure out what long COVID is, what yardsticks should we use to determine that someone actually does have it and qualifies for long COVID benefits. If you're not able to join the workforce, we don't want you starving to death, but we need to figure out what this is and how we do the paperwork there. That's a nightmare, and Shawn is going through that nightmare, trying to get some sort of sustenance benefits from the government, which is a powerless enough state anyway, just day to day, that is a powerless enough state anyway. You won't see a lot of it on Shawn's channel. He's mostly wanting to just talk about books in a wonderful, wonderful way with that incredible sonorous 1930s radio host voice of his. He won't stress the point, but nevertheless, that means that your day-to-day existence is going to be fairly powerless financially. And the one you might be able to do all right with that, but the one thing that circumstance won't be able to withstand is a sudden emergency. Because sudden emergencies, let's just take the sugar coating off this. Sudden emergencies require money. Plain and simple. They require money, or they will take you under. And Shawn has lots and lots of friends on BookTube, tons and tons of books, lots and lots of mental interests. But thanks to a cardiac incident, COVID and long COVID, he hasn't had a lot of money. And he did receive that cataclysm. He did receive a stressor on that system. His landlord told him he has to move. Now, I don't imagine that there are many people listening to me right now who don't know the nightmare of moving. Moving is a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. It's a nightmare anyway. Apart from anything else, just personally, it's a nightmare where you're going through an upheaval, as fundamental as an upheaval as you can expect to have. It's even worse when there's no money. It's expensive to move. And Shawn is encountering those expenses, as he has said. I'll leave a link to the video where he lays all this out. But not only does he have to move, which is going to mean, finding a place, maybe an increase in rent, maybe security deposit of some kind, transportation, but also storage. He has all of those books and bookcases. And it's unlikely that he's going to be able to bring all those with him right away. They're going to have to go into storage, and that costs money too. And these things come at the worst possible time. Like I said, if you're in a parlous financial state, you can sometimes do steady state, sometimes for long periods of time, but not when a hammer hits the system. That you are not set up to absorb that the way if someone who's not in a financially parlous condition will have reserves for when a hammer hits. If you are just sort of coasting along, you won't have those reserves, and Shawn doesn't. So he put out the call for help. He needs a few kinds of help. If you're in England, well, he's going to be moving, and he needs a van and a driver and helping hands to pack and move boxes. If you're nearby, I'll link to his video so that you can contact him with any of this. If you happen to be nearby and have a Target weekend free, I think it's going to be at the end of summer that this is going to be happening, you'd be an angel to him. It'd be a deliverance to have someone come forward and say, I have the equipment that you need, and I have a strong pair of shoulders I'd be happy to lend to the cause. Also, ears to the ground are also absolutely vital when it comes to moving. Do you know of a situation in your area? I don't think Shawn's particularly picky about where he goes, provided it's affordable. But a lot of times that network, that informal network of ears to the ground, is invaluable, absolutely invaluable to find a spot. I would argue probably that 90% of spots, when circumstances like this crop up, are found in that informal way. Do you know somebody? Do you have something that could work out for Shawn? So he needs that as well. He needs local UK stuff like that, but also money. There's no way around it. If you've been in this situation, you know. I certainly have been. It requires an infusion of money to make it work. And so Shawn has set up a GoFundMe, and he has a PayPal if you feel generous enough to contribute. And what I have seen in this little neighborhood of BookTube that we have here is nobody contributing a whole lot, but everybody contributing a little. And that makes a world of difference. I've seen BookTubers make a plea for help video, then they come back a week later, and you can see the astonishment in their eyes. These people that they've never met have literally saved their life. So I want to put out a call for you. I'll leave all of Shawn's info down below so that you can go and see what you can do. See if you can do something to help out. Help out on the ground in England would be great. I'm sure that helping out with money, even a little bit, goes a long way when you've got a million expenses that last week you didn't know you were going to have to pay for. So I thought I'd make a quick video and just raise the profile of this thing just a bit and let you know that Shawn could really use your help, and I would be, I'm sure, immensely grateful for it. That's what I love about this little corner of BookTube, is that we tend to take care of each other, which really puts a smile on my face. I'm hoping that we can help things, make things a little easier for Shawn. But anyway, I'll wrap this up. I'll leave all the links, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.